Step away from my wife. You don't need to touch her." The words slice through the humid Caribbean air like a blade. 19-year-old Kira Matthews freezes, her hands still positioned over the unconscious woman's chest, ready to begin compressions. Around the pool deck of the luxury cruise ship Sea of Roses, wealthy passengers stare, some with phones recording, others with disgust painted across their tanned faces. The woman's husband stands above them both, his designer polo shirt catching the sunlight, his face twisted with something between fear and contempt. "Sir, your wife needs immediate medical attention," Kira says, her voice steady despite the trembling in her fingers. "I said step away from her." The pool glitters behind them, turquoise, pristine, indifferent. Somewhere in the distance, a steel drum band plays on, unaware that a life hangs in the balance, and that the only person who can save it is being told she doesn't belong. 48 hours earlier, Kira Matthews had stepped onto the Sea of Roses for the first time, her heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and terror. The cruise ship towered above the Miami port like a floating city, 17 decks of gleaming white steel, balconies stretching endlessly into the sky, chandeliers visible through massive glass windows. "Employee entrance is around back," a security guard had said, redirecting her away from the main gangway where passengers in linen suits and designer sunglasses were boarding. Kira adjusted the strap of her worn duffel bag and followed the signs to the crew entrance. She'd worked 3 jobs for 8 months to save enough money for community college, but when her mother's diabetes medication costs tripled, those savings evaporated overnight. The cruise line job, 4 months as a recreational activities assistant, paid barely above minimum wage, but it included room and board. It meant her mother could use Kira's waitressing income for medicine instead of rent. The crew quarters existed in a different universe from the passenger decks. Narrow hallways with fluorescent lighting, shared cabins with bunk beds, the smell of industrial cleaning supplies mixed with exhaustion. Kira's roommate, Luz Herrera, a 24-year-old from the Philippines, greeted her with a tired smile. "First cruise?" Luz asked, helping Kira stow her bag in the tiny locker beneath the bottom bunk. "Is it that obvious? You still have hope in your eyes." Luz laughed. "Give it a week." Their supervisor, Marcus Williams, a 42-year-old activities director from Jamaica, gathered the new crew members for orientation. "Your job is simple," he explained. "Make the guests happy. Organize pool games, coordinate karaoke nights, set up shuffleboard tournaments, smile, stay invisible, and never, under any circumstances, disrespect a guest." "What if a guest disrespects us?" asked Diego, a young crew member from Mexico. Marcus's expression hardened. "You smile wider." The Sea of Roses departed Miami at sunset, its horn blasting 3 times as the city skyline faded into golden haze. Kira stood on the crew deck, a small outdoor space hidden behind the smokestacks, watching the ocean spread endlessly in every direction. She'd never seen water like this, so much blue it hurt to look at. "Beautiful, isn't it?" said a voice beside her. Kira turned to find Dr. Amara Okonkwo, the ship's medical officer, a Nigerian woman in her 50s with kind eyes and graying locks pulled into a bun. "I've never been on a boat before," Kira admitted. "I mean, I grew up in Detroit. The biggest water I've seen is Lake Michigan. The ocean has a way of making you feel small," Dr. Okonkwo said, "but also reminding you that you're part of something vast and connected." They talked for 20 minutes. Dr. Okonkwo learned that Kira had been accepted into a nursing program, but had to defer due to financial constraints. That she'd been teaching herself emergency medicine through library books and free online courses. That she dreamed of becoming a trauma nurse in underserved communities. "Why trauma nursing?" Dr. Okonkwo asked. "Because when I was 12, my best friend collapsed during basketball practice," Kira said quietly. "We didn't know she had an undiagnosed heart condition. By the time the ambulance arrived, it was too late. I remember thinking, if someone had known what to do, maybe she'd still be here." Dr. Okonkwo studied Kira's face. "If you're interested, you can observe in the medical center during your off hours. No pay, but valuable experience." Kira's eyes lit up. "Really? I mean, yes. Thank you." The first 2 days aboard the Sea of Roses passed in a blur of activity. Kira's responsibilities included organizing pool volleyball games, coordinating sunset yoga sessions, and helping elderly passengers navigate the ship's confusing layout. The work was exhausting, but she loved the constant movement, the problem-solving, the small moments of connection with guests who treated her like a human being rather than furniture. But she also witnessed the other side, the casual cruelty of wealth. The passenger who snapped his fingers at Luz and called her the help. The woman who accused Diego of stealing her sunglasses, which she'd left in her cabin. The families who let their children treat crew members like servants, teaching the next generation that some people matter less than others. On day 3, the ship docked at Tacar, Cozumel, Mexico. While passengers disembarked for snorkeling excursions and beach clubs, crew members had a 4-hour break. Kira used the time to explore the medical center with Dr. Okonkwo. The facility was impressively equipped: examination rooms, a small surgical suite, diagnostic equipment, pharmacy. "We're essentially a floating urgent care clinic," Dr. Okonkwo explained. "Most cases are seasickness, sunburn, minor injuries, but occasionally we get something serious." She showed Kira how to read the ship's medical logs, how to stock emergency supplies, how to properly sterilize equipment. Kira absorbed everything like she'd been thirsty her entire life, and someone had finally offered water. "You have good instincts," Dr. Okonkwo observed, watching Kira correctly identify medications. "Have you considered applying for shipboard medical training programs? Some cruise lines will sponsor certifications." "I didn't know that was possible." "Most people don't, but I've seen talent in people that circumstances tried to bury. You're one of them." That evening, back on duty, Kira organized a Caribbean night event at the main pool. Steel drum music, limbo contests, tropical drinks with tiny umbrellas. The sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink as the Sea of Roses sailed toward Grand Cayman. That's when Kira first noticed Olivia Harrison. She was hard to miss, a striking woman around 26 with auburn hair and elegant features, wearing a flowing white sundress. She sat alone near the infinity pool's edge, one hand resting on her stomach, her expression distant. While other passengers laughed and danced, Olivia seemed to exist in a separate reality, trapped inside her own thoughts. Her husband, Bradley Harrison, appeared moments later. Mid-30s, expensive watch, the kind of confidence that came from never being told no. He handed Olivia a drink and sat beside her. But there was tension in their body language. The way he spoke close to her ear, the way she flinched slightly, the way he gripped her wrist just a little too tightly before releasing it. Kira had learned to read these signals growing up in Detroit, learned to recognize when someone was trapped in a situation they couldn't escape. But she also learned that intervening in other people's relationships usually made things worse. She looked away and continued organizing the limbo competition. Later that night, Kira was restocking towels near the upper deck pools when she overheard a conversation. Bradley Harrison stood with 3 other men, all in their 30s and 40s, all radiating wealth and entitlement, smoking cigars near the railing. "Olivia's been emotional lately," Bradley was saying, "crying over nothing. I told her this cruise would help her relax, but she's making everything difficult." "Women," one of the other men laughed. "My wife was the same way when she was pregnant." "Olivia's not pregnant," Bradley said quickly. Too quickly. "We've been trying, but nothing yet." Something in his tone made Kira pause. The defensiveness. The edge of anger. She pretended to adjust the towel cart, continuing to listen. "Maybe she needs to see a specialist," another man suggested. "She's seen 3 doctors. Everything's fine. She just needs to stop being so fragile." The conversation shifted to business, real estate investments, stock portfolios. Kira moved on, but the exchange lingered in her mind. The way Bradley talked about his wife, like she was a malfunctioning appliance rather than a person. Over the next 24 hours, Kira observed the Harrisons more carefully. Olivia rarely attended meals. When she did appear, she barely touched her food, her face pale, her movements slow. Bradley hovered nearby, controlling, deciding what she could order, monitoring who she spoke with, insisting she participate in activities even when she clearly wanted to rest. Luz noticed Kira watching. "That woman in the white dress?" "Yeah, something seems off." Rich people problems, Luz shrugged. Not our business. But Kira couldn't shake the feeling that Olivia Harrison needed help, and that no one around her was willing to provide it. On day 4, the Sea of Roses anchored off the coast of Grand Cayman. The ship offered snorkeling excursions, but most passengers opted to enjoy the ship's amenities while at anchor. The weather was perfect. 85 degrees, gentle breeze, cloudless sky. Kira was assigned to the sunset pool deck for the afternoon shift, organizing water aerobics and poolside trivia. Around 2:30 p.m., the deck was moderately crowded. Families with children in the shallow end, couples on loungers, elderly passengers in the shade. That's when Olivia Harrison appeared, moving slowly along the pool's edge. She wore a modest one-piece swimsuit that somehow made her look more vulnerable. Her face was ghostly pale. Her hand never left her stomach. She made it 3 steps before her knees buckled. Olivia collapsed near the pool's edge, her body crumpling like a marionette with cut strings. Her head missed the concrete by inches, landing on the rubber deck mat. For a moment, the world seemed to freeze. Passengers stared. Children stopped splashing. The steel drum music continued playing from hidden speakers, cheerful and grotesquely out of place. Then Kira was running. She dropped the stack of pool noodles she'd been carrying and sprinted across the deck. Training she'd absorbed from textbooks and online videos flooded her mind. Check for responsiveness, assess breathing, establish circulation. She knelt beside Olivia, her hands already moving to check for a pulse. That's when Bradley Harrison appeared, pushing through the gathering crowd. "What are you doing? Get away from her!" Kira looked up, confused. "Sir, your wife collapsed. She needs medical attention." "I said get away from her." Bradley's voice was low, dangerous. "You don't need to touch her." Around them, passengers murmured. Some began recording on their phones. Others looked away, uncomfortable but unwilling to intervene. "Sir," Kira said, forcing her voice to remain calm, "I have medical training. Your wife is unconscious and—" "Medical training?" Bradley's laugh was sharp, cruel. "You're a pool attendant. You organize limbo contests." Olivia's breathing was shallow, her skin cold to the touch. Kira could see her pulse fluttering weakly at her neck. Every second mattered, but this man was blocking her from helping. Marcus appeared at the edge of the crowd. "Kira, step back. We've called for Dr. Okonkwo." "She might not have time to wait," Kira said. "She needs help now." "That's not your call to make," Marcus said, his voice tight. "Your crew. He's a guest. Step back." Kira met Bradley Harrison's eyes. She saw fear there, yes, but also something else. Control. The desperate need to maintain control even as his wife's life slipped away. The crowd held its breath, waiting to see what the 19-year-old girl from Detroit would do. Would she obey and watch a woman die? Or would she risk everything she'd worked for to save a stranger? Kira made her decision in the space of a heartbeat. She ignored Marcus, ignored Bradley Harrison's protests, ignored the dozens of eyes watching and judging. She leaned over Olivia's unconscious body and began her assessment. "Ma'am, can you hear me?" Kira spoke clearly, checking Olivia's airway. Her breathing was present but shallow, pulse rapid and thready, skin pale and clammy, classic signs of shock. "I'm calling security," Bradley snapped, pulling out his phone. "This is assault." "Sir, your wife is in medical distress," Kira said without looking up. "I'm trying to save her life." She turned Olivia onto her left side, the recovery position, elevating her legs with rolled pool towels, blood flow to vital organs, something she'd learned from an emergency medicine textbook she'd borrowed from the Detroit Public Library. Dr. Okonkwo arrived, pushing through the crowd with her medical bag. Her eyes assessed the situation instantly. The unconscious woman, the protective positioning, the hovering husband radiating hostility. "What happened, Doctor?" Okonkwo asked, kneeling beside Kira. "Collapsed approximately 3 minutes ago, breathing shallow, pulse 120, skin cold and diaphoretic. I positioned her for shock management." Dr. Okonkwo's eyebrows raised slightly. "Good work." She pulled out a blood pressure cuff and stethoscope. "Sir, I need you to step back so I can examine your wife. She doesn't need to be examined by—" Bradley gestured vaguely at both women, his meaning clear. "I want a real doctor." The words hung in the air like poison. Dr. Okonkwo, who had graduated top of her class from University of Lagos Medical School and practiced emergency medicine for 25 years, didn't flinch. She'd heard it all before. "I am the ship's chief medical officer," she said calmly, "and your wife needs immediate treatment. You can either help me or move aside." Bradley's face flushed red. Around them, passengers shifted uncomfortably. Some looked ashamed. Others nodded in agreement with Bradley. A few continued recording on their phones, hungry for viral content. Dr. Okonkwo checked Olivia's blood pressure, 90/60, dangerously low, and listened to her heart. "We need to get her to the medical center immediately. Kira, help me with the stretcher." 2 crew members arrived with a collapsible gurney. Kira and Dr. Okonkwo carefully transferred Olivia, maintaining her position, monitoring her breathing. Bradley followed, still protesting, still trying to control a situation that had spiraled beyond his authority. The medical center felt like sanctuary, cool, quiet, professional. They transferred Olivia to an examination bed. Dr. Okonkwo began a more thorough assessment while Kira set up monitoring equipment. "How far along is she?" Dr. Okonkwo asked Bradley. "Along with what?" "Her pregnancy." Bradley's face went white. "She's not pregnant. We've been trying, but she's not." "Mr. Harrison," Dr. Okonkwo interrupted gently, "your wife is approximately 8 weeks pregnant. Did she not know?" The room went silent except for the steady beep of the heart monitor. Bradley sank into a chair, his hands covering his face. When he finally looked up, tears streaked his cheeks. "We've been trying for 3 years," he whispered. 3 years of doctors, treatments, disappointments. Olivia stopped believing it would happen. I stopped hoping. Dr. Okonkwo softened. "The symptoms your wife experienced, fatigue, nausea, emotional sensitivity, they're all consistent with early pregnancy. Combined with dehydration and low blood sugar, it triggered a vasovagal response. That's why she fainted." Is the baby?" "Both are stable now, but she needs rest, proper nutrition, and prenatal care." Olivia began to stir, her eyelids fluttering. "Bradley?" He was at her side instantly, gripping her hand. "I'm here. You're okay. You're both okay." "Both?" Dr. Okonkwo smiled. "Mrs. Harrison, you're pregnant, about 8 weeks along." Olivia's eyes went wide, then filled with tears. You're going to have a baby," Bradley said, his voice breaking. "We're going to have a baby." They held each other, crying, laughing, overwhelmed. Kira stood near the wall, watching this intimate moment, feeling like an intruder. She started to leave. "Wait!" Olivia called out. "You, the girl from the pool." Kira turned. "Yes, ma'am?" "You saved us. Both of us." Olivia's voice trembled. "If you hadn't helped when I collapsed, I just did what anyone would do." "No." Bradley stood, his earlier hostility replaced with something that looked like shame. "No, you did what I should have done, what I should have allowed." He took a shaky breath. "I'm sorry for how I spoke to you, for how I treated you. I was terrified, and I took it out on you, and that's inexcusable." Kira didn't know what to say. Apologies from wealthy white men weren't exactly common in her experience. "You have medical training?" Dr. Okonkwo asked. "Self-taught mostly. Library books, online courses. I've been accepted to nursing school, but I had to defer." "Why?" Kira hesitated. "Financial reasons." Dr. Okonkwo exchanged a look with Bradley. Something unspoken passed between them. "We'll discuss this more later," the doctor said. "For now, Kira, you should return to your duties. And thank you. You made all the right decisions under pressure." Kira left the medical center and returned to the pool deck, where whispers followed her like shadows. Some passengers looked at her with newfound respect, others with resentment. How dare the help make them feel guilty? Marcus pulled her aside. "That was risky," he said quietly. "Going against a guest's direct orders. She needed help. I know. And you probably saved her life. But Kira," he sighed, "be careful. People like us don't get second chances when we make wealthy people uncomfortable." That night, Kira lay in her bunk, staring at the ceiling. Luce was already asleep, snoring softly. The ship's engines hummed beneath them, a constant reminder that they were suspended between ocean and sky, belonging nowhere. Her phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. This is Bradley Harrison. Dr. Okonkwo gave me your contact information. I hope that's okay. My wife and I would like to speak with you tomorrow. Please. Kira stared at the message for a long time before responding, okay. The next morning, Kira's off-duty hours coincided with a rare invitation to the Sky Lounge, an exclusive area normally restricted to suite passengers. Bradley and Olivia Harrison sat at a private table overlooking the ocean, looking remarkably different from the day before. Olivia glowed with cautious happiness. Bradley seemed humbled, stripped of his arrogance. "Thank you for coming," Olivia said as Kira approached. "Please sit." Kira sat uncomfortably on the edge of the plush chair. Being in passenger spaces always felt wrong, like trespassing. "We've been talking," Bradley began, "about what happened yesterday, about my behavior, about your quick thinking, about how close we came to losing everything. Dr. Okonkwo said the baby is fine," Kira said. "That's what matters." "The baby is fine because of you," Olivia insisted. "Dr. Okonkwo told us you positioned me correctly, recognized shock symptoms, acted immediately. Without your intervention, I could have—" She couldn't finish the sentence. Bradley leaned forward. "Dr. Okonkwo also told us about your situation, that you deferred nursing school due to financial constraints." Kira stiffened. "That's personal. I know. And normally I wouldn't pry. But Olivia and I want to do something to thank you. Something meaningful. You don't owe me anything." "Yes, we do," Olivia said firmly. "You gave us the greatest gift imaginable, our child's life. Let us give you something in return." "What are you talking about?" Bradley slid a folder across the table. "I'm the CEO of Harrison Medical Technologies. We manufacture medical equipment and fund healthcare initiatives. One of our programs provides full scholarships for nursing students from underrepresented communities." Kira opened the folder. Inside was a scholarship application with most fields already filled out: her name, her deferred acceptance letter, her financial information. "This scholarship covers full tuition, books, housing, and a living stipend," Bradley explained. "It's designed for people exactly like you, talented, dedicated, held back by circumstances beyond their control." Kira's hands shook as she read the terms. 4 years, full coverage, no strings attached. "Why?" she whispered. "Because you deserve it," Olivia said. "Because talent and character shouldn't be wasted due to zip codes and bank accounts. Because you saved our baby's life, and we want to help you save many more." "I can't accept this. It's too much." "It's not enough," Bradley said. "But it's a start. And Kira," he paused, choosing his words carefully. "Yesterday I was the worst version of myself. Scared, controlling, prejudiced. I almost let my wife die because I couldn't see past my own biases. You forced me to confront that. You made me better." Tears blurred Kira's vision. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Olivia urged. "Say yes and go become the nurse you're meant to be. Say yes and save more lives. Say yes and prove that talent and compassion matter more than privilege." Kira looked at the scholarship papers, then at the ocean beyond the windows. Vast, blue, full of possibility. She thought about her mother in Detroit, rationing diabetes medication. About her friend who died at 12 because no one knew how to help. About every kid in her neighborhood who dreamed of more but never got the chance. "Yes," she said. "Yes, I accept." Olivia reached across the table and squeezed Kira's hand. "Thank you for saving us. All of us." But what none of them knew, not Kira, not the Harrisons, not even Dr. Okonkwo, was that the story was far from over, because someone had been recording everything. The pool deck confrontation, Bradley's cruel dismissal, Kira's brave intervention, and that video was about to change everything. The story was about to take an unexpected turn, one that would shock the entire world. Stay with us to see what happens next, and if you're enjoying this story, hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments. Have you ever witnessed an act of courage that changed everything? The video appeared on TikTok first, then Twitter, then Instagram, then everywhere. Rich white man tells black teen to step away from his dying wife. What happens next will restore your faith in humanity. The footage was shaky but damning. Crystal clear audio captured Bradley's dismissive tone, Kira's calm professionalism, the crowd's uncomfortable silence. Within 12 hours, the video had 20 million views, Within 24, it had 50 million. The comment section became a battlefield. This is exactly what's wrong with America. That girl saved a life and was treated like a criminal. The husband was scared. People say things they don't mean in crisis situations. No excuse for racism. None. She's a hero. The cruise line better recognize that. News outlets picked up the story. CNN, NBC, The Washington Post, BBC. Everyone wanted the full story. Everyone wanted interviews. The Sea of Roses Cruise Line's corporate office went into crisis management mode. Kira woke up on day 6 of the cruise to find Marcus knocking urgently on her cabin door. "Corporate wants to see you. Conference room, 20 minutes. Am I in trouble? Marcus's expression was unreadable. Just be yourself. The conference room held 5 stern-faced executives video conferencing from corporate headquarters in Miami. The ship's captain, Margaret Voss, sat at the head of the table, her weathered face grave. "Ms. Matthews," began Richard Chen, the VP of Operations, his face filling the screen. "I'm sure you're aware that a video of the incident has gone viral." "I've heard, yes. The video shows you disregarding direct orders from both a guest and your supervisor. It shows you making physical contact with a passenger without explicit permission. It shows her saving a woman's life," Captain Voss interrupted. "Let's not dance around what actually happened here." Chen's jaw tightened. "Captain, the optics are complicated. Mr. Harrison has issued a public statement taking full responsibility for his behavior. He's praised Ms. Matthews' actions. But we have protocols, chain of command, liability concerns." "Liability concerns?" Kira's voice was quiet, but steel-edged. "Olivia Harrison was dying. Every second mattered. Should I have let her die while waiting for permission to help? That's not what we're saying." "Then what are you saying?" Captain Voss demanded. "Because from where I'm sitting, this young woman demonstrated courage, medical competence, and moral clarity. She should be commended, not interrogated." Another executive, Patricia Williams, spoke up. "The public response has been overwhelmingly positive. Our social media channels are flooded with support for Ms. Matthews. Passengers on the current voyage have started a petition demanding she be recognized. Several news outlets want exclusive interviews." "What's your point?" Chen asked. "My point is that this is a PR opportunity, not a crisis. We could position this as the cruise line that values character over protocol, that empowers employees to do the right thing." Chen looked unconvinced. "Or we could face lawsuits from Mr. Harrison claiming our employee assaulted his wife." "Mr. Harrison has publicly stated he's grateful for Ms. Matthews' intervention," Captain Voss said. "In fact, he's done more than that." She pulled up an email on her tablet and read, "I am writing to personally recommend that Kira Matthews be recognized for extraordinary service. Her quick thinking and medical expertise saved my wife and unborn child's lives. Any disciplinary action against her would be a grave injustice. Furthermore, Harrison Medical Technologies will be establishing a scholarship fund in Ms. Matthews' name to support aspiring healthcare professionals from underserved communities." Silence filled the room. "Well," Patricia Williams said finally, "that's quite an endorsement." Chen sighed. "Ms. Matthews, you put us in a difficult position, but given the circumstances and Mr. Harrison's statement, we're prepared to offer you a choice." "A choice? You can continue your contract as planned, with a commendation in your file and a promotion to Assistant Activities Coordinator. Or," he paused, "you can accept early release from your contract with full pay for the remaining duration plus a bonus. Given the media attention, some passengers may feel uncomfortable and we want to give you an exit if you prefer privacy." Kira stared at the screen. They were offering her money to disappear, to make the controversy go away, to stop reminding wealthy passengers that their cruise vacation depended on the labor of people they barely saw as human. "I want to finish my contract," Kira said firmly. "I want to keep working. I want to keep helping people, and I don't want your bonus for being an inconvenience." Captain Voss smiled. "That's what I thought you'd say." The executives exchanged glances. "Very well," Chen said. "You're free to return to your duties. And Ms. Matthews," he paused, "what you did was brave. Reckless, perhaps, but brave." After the meeting, Kira walked out onto the crew deck. The Caribbean sun blazed overhead. Somewhere below, passengers enjoyed Mai Tais and steel drum music, most unaware of the drama unfolding behind the scenes. Dr. Okonkwo found her there. "How are you holding up?" "I don't know. This is all so surreal. Fame usually is." Dr. Okonkwo leaned against the railing. "When I was your age, I stood up to a department head who was falsifying patient records. I thought I was doing the right thing. Instead, I was blacklisted, called a troublemaker, told I'd never work in Nigerian hospitals again. What did you do?" "I applied to work on cruise ships, started over, built a new career, and eventually the truth came out. The department head was arrested. Patients were compensated. But by then, I'd found something I loved, bringing medical care to people who travel, who are far from home, who need help." She turned to Kira. "What I'm saying is sometimes doing the right thing costs us everything we planned, but it gives us something better, a life lived with integrity. The Harrisons offered me a full scholarship," Kira said quietly. "I know. They told me. I keep waiting for the catch. Nobody just gives away that much money. Some people do, especially people who've been humbled. Bradley Harrison's entire worldview shattered when his prejudice nearly killed his wife. That kind of transformation is rare. Don't reject it because you can't trust it. Accept it because you earned it." That evening, Kira received a message asking her to come to the Harrisons' suite. She knocked hesitantly, still uncomfortable in these opulent passenger spaces. Olivia answered, glowing with early pregnancy health. "Come in. We have something to show you." Their suite was absurdly large. Living room, bedroom, balcony overlooking endless ocean. Bradley sat at a laptop, video conference screens filling the monitor. "We've been working on something," he explained. "The scholarship we offered you, we're expanding it, turning it into a foundation, the Kira Matthews Foundation for Healthcare Education." Kira's breath caught. "What?" "We're committing $15 million over 5 years, Olivia said. "Full scholarships for 100 nursing students annually. Students like you, talented, dedicated, held back by circumstances. Plus partnerships with HBCUs, Bradley added, mentorship programs, job placement guarantees. We're building a pipeline from underserved communities into healthcare careers. And we want you to help design it," Olivia said. "Your insight, your experience, your understanding of what barriers exist and how to remove them." Kira sank into a chair, overwhelmed. "Why are you doing this?" "Because you showed us who we could be," Bradley said simply. "I spent my whole life believing success came from privilege and power. You showed me it comes from character and courage. I can't undo my prejudice overnight, but I can build something that fights it systematically. And because," Olivia added, "our baby deserves to grow up in a world where people like you are celebrated, not dismissed, where talent is recognized regardless of skin color, where doing the right thing is rewarded, not punished." Tears streamed down Kira's face. "My friend Jasmine died when we were 12, collapsed during basketball practice. Nobody knew how to help her. I've spent 7 years studying medicine on library books and broken phone screens, thinking maybe I could stop another kid from losing their best friend. Now you'll train hundreds of people who think the same way," Bradley said. "Hundreds who will save thousands. Jasmine's death won't be meaningless. It'll be the spark that lit a movement." The rest of the cruise passed in a surreal blur. Passengers recognized Kira everywhere, some with respect, some with resentment, most with curiosity. She gave interviews to news outlets, careful to emphasize the systemic issues rather than her individual heroism. "This isn't about me," she told a CNN reporter. "This is about the thousands of talented young people in communities like mine who never get the chance to use their gifts. This is about a healthcare system that desperately needs diverse voices. This is about building bridges instead of walls." On the final night of the cruise, the Sea of Roses hosted a formal gala. Kira wasn't scheduled to work. Her shift had ended, but Captain Voss invited her as a guest of honor. She borrowed a dress from Luce and walked into the grand ballroom feeling like an imposter. But when she entered, the room erupted in applause. Passengers she'd never spoken to stood and clapped. Crew members she worked alongside beamed with pride. Bradley and Olivia approached, both dressed in formal attire. Olivia's baby bump was just barely visible. "We have an announcement," Bradley said, addressing the crowd. His voice shook slightly. 8 days ago, my wife collapsed by the pool. I reacted with fear and prejudice. I told a brave young woman to step away, to not help, because I couldn't see past my own biases. The ballroom went silent. That young woman ignored me. She saved my wife. She saved my unborn child. And in doing so, she saved me from becoming someone I never want to be. He turned to Kira. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your skill. Thank you for seeing my wife as a human being who needed help, even when I was too blind to do the same. Applause thundered through the ballroom. Kira stood there, 19 years old, wearing a borrowed dress, surrounded by people whose lives she'd touched without even realizing it. Captain Voss presented Kira with a formal commendation. Dr. Okonkwo hugged her tightly. Marcus shook her hand with tears in his eyes. You changed this ship, he whispered. You changed all of us. The Sea of Roses docked in Miami the next morning. Kira disembarked with her worn duffel bag, her acceptance into nursing school now fully funded, her future secured, her purpose clarified. Her mother waited at the port, crying and laughing simultaneously. My baby made the news. Mom, it's not a big deal. It's the biggest deal. You saved a life. You changed lives. And baby, her mother's voice broke. You showed the world what I've always known, that you're extraordinary. 6 months later, Kira Matthews began her first semester of nursing school at Howard University, fully funded by the scholarship she'd inspired. The Kira Matthews Foundation had already awarded scholarships to 75 students. Harrison Medical Technologies had partnered with 12 HBCUs to create healthcare training pipelines. And somewhere in Connecticut, Olivia Harrison gave birth to a healthy baby girl. They named her Hope Kira Harrison. The video of the pool deck confrontation still circulates online. Millions of views, thousands of comments. A moment frozen in time when a 19-year-old girl decided that saving a life mattered more than following orders. But the real story, the one that doesn't fit in a viral video, is what happened after. How courage ripples outward. How one act of compassion can transform systems. How the bravest thing we can do is see each other's humanity, especially when society tells us not to. Kira visits the Harrisons every few months, watches baby Hope grow, marvels at how something terrible almost happened, but instead something beautiful emerged. Do you ever regret it? Olivia asks one afternoon, watching Kira hold Hope. The scrutiny, the pressure, the way your life changed? Kira looks down at the baby in her arms. Hope Kira Harrison, named after a pool deck miracle. Not for a second, she says. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. Because some moments divide life into before and after. Some choices define who we become. And some acts of courage echo across generations, changing not just individual lives but the entire world. From the deck of a luxury cruise to the halls of medical school, Kira's journey proves that character matters more than circumstances. What act of courage have you witnessed? Share your story in the comments below, and if this moved you, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful true stories every week.